Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for this short overview of the ePanic Button 4.0 administrative portal. When you first log in, you'll be given a username and password. Just log in, and you'll be first taken to the Groups tab. I'm just going to go through the tabs to help you understand the basics of the portal. The groups essentially means template of buttons. So if you belong to the Birmingham group, you're going to have Birmingham buttons. Montgomery, you have the Montgomery buttons. This makes sense from a geographic standpoint because you want your responders to be local. However, you could always send emails and text messages or even the pop-up alerts to anyone who has anyone in the world as long as they have an internet connection. It makes sense for those local responders to be geographically close. However, you could also have groups based on their role. For instance, security may have unique buttons. Just to give a brief demonstration of this, I'm here in the Asheville group right there, and you see there's a red triangle, yellow triangle. There's my red triangle, yellow triangle right there. However, in our security group, we can have buttons such as bomb threat, lockdown, or weather. And you can understand why you may not want to give that authority or those types of buttons to just anybody. So therefore, you can make a separate group and just give those people who you want to have those buttons, put them in this group for them to have that. All right, again, one other note about the groups thing is you'll see there's a default settings. Default settings simply means what group all new users go into. So when you do an installation, they go into the default group, but you can sure change that. Again, you can create new groups, clicking the plus sign to add, pencil to edit, or trash can to delete. So I'll just select the actual group and click edit. And then here you can see where you can change if you want it to be the default group or not right there. Most of the work you're going to be doing is under the buttons tab. So let me click on buttons. And here again, there's different ways you can filter it. You can do it alphabetically or use our filter tool to organize and filter through your different groups or whatever records you want to help identify the record you're looking for. But again, here you go. You see I'm in the Asheville group and you see the two top buttons there. Let me switch to that window so you can see a little bit better. I'm going to show you real quickly how you can edit a button or add a new button. It's pretty much the same process as you can imagine. The blank add button has everything blank there, but if you select a button and click edit, then it's the information's already filled out. So I'm going to quickly create, let's say, a stalker button. And that's a pretty neat idea with this program because you could create new buttons on the fly whenever you have any emerging issues. So if you have an employee being stalked by someone, again, you can enter in the button's name, and that's for your reference. It could be any length that you want, but the title has to be short, under 8 characters, because we want it to be able to fit underneath the button down there. As you can imagine, you can't have a really long sentence or word. And then the message, again, you could put anything you want in here. However, I do suggest that you keep it short, especially for text messages. Again, you'll see that it doesn't say anything about who it came from because when the messages are sent, it's going to be sending that sender information along with this message and the button title. Here's where you can choose the icon for the button click method. Let's go with a green exclamation point, perhaps. Here's where you can mute the alarm. And what that does is when you click the button on everyone's receiver computer for that pop-up alert, it's going to be muted. There'll be no sound associated if you so wish that. We also have the send delay feature, which allows you to prevent false alarms. If I click on the security button, I've got a send delay set here. I've got 10 seconds to cancel it, or I can send it immediately. And that'll help prevent the false alarms. In addition, you could choose the severity level. There are 3 different levels: high, medium, low. There'll be a little color indicator: red for high, yellow for medium, and green for low. And also there's a different audible alarm depending upon which alarm what severity level you chose. Here you could choose your hotkey code. Again, it has to be at least 2-stroke. You could keep it simple, something like Control L or something like that, or you can make it difficult, such as Control Alt Shift F4, and no one would hit that by accident. So if you see, I just added that new stalker button, and look how fast that rolls out. So that's a pretty neat feature where even if you have 1,000 users, with a few minutes, you can create a new button for any emerging new issues. Well, we've created the stalker button. Now we need to assign the receivers. And again, you can see up here in the right-hand column is where you choose your receivers. By the way, if there are no receivers for a button, then the button will not show up in the system. By default, we have an email created automatically, and that's why it showed up on mine. We have the pop-up alerts, which is represented by the computer, emails represented by the envelope, and the little cell phone represents your text phone receivers. So I'm going to look at our pop-up alert receivers. And we'll see basically two windows. On the right-hand side is everybody who has the program, and on the left-hand side are your receivers. So you could choose whichever individuals you want. Again, you could filter if you have a really big selection of records, and you click Add. And then therefore you could add these individuals will actually get the stalker button, and over here on the right they will not get the pop-up, but they can. And just to move them out, it's just the same as selecting them and clicking remove. So here's the basics. On the left-hand side, who do you want to get the pop-up? Those are the individuals on the left over here. Now, let's look at emails. As I mentioned, we automatically have one created. I'm going to just click on that envelope. And by default, all the admin users, and I'll show that in just a little bit, all the admin users that are listed in your admin tab, those individuals are the ones who will automatically be assigned to receive emails. You could change it as you see fit. You could add people individually like that, or you could batch add them, just separate all of the emails with a comma and or a semicolon, and then you're able to batch add them all in, such as that. It is the exact same thing, by the way, with the cell phones. If you click on the little telephone, that's how you could choose who gets the pop-up alerts. Gets the SMS text messages. You can add a phone number one at a time, or you could batch add it if you separate it with a comma. For any international folks, please use your country code. In the United States, you do not have to add the +1, but all other international users, please add your country code first. And that's how essentially you add receivers to a button. So for the stalker button, we can see who are pop-up alerts, who gets emails, and who gets text. Now, a couple other things. The users gives you the list of all of your users. And again, you can filter it as you see fit. You could also edit an individual, see what group they belong to. You can move them in the group that way. The other way you can move people around in groups is under the Groups tab, and that's where you check under the members. So for instance, in the Birmingham group, I can add anyone I want into the Birmingham group. If you notice, you can only move people into a group. You can't move them out of a group. So if you want someone out of a group, you simply determine what group you want them to go into and move them into that group. I hope that makes sense. Administrators are the accounts. Excuse me, let me back up. Accounts is where you can find your registration ID, and administrators are the administrative users, not the end users who have the buttons, but basically who has the login and a password to go into this website. The last tab I want to show you is Events. And under the Events tab, what you could do is see two types of logs. One log is changes to this administrative portal. Well, I've been making a lot of changes, creating a new button, adding email addresses. There's an invalid email address, and there's a record of that. At the moment, these times are set at Eastern Standard Time, but very soon we'll be making a change so it'll be fitting your specific time zone. However, the events viewer also captures something else, and that shows you whenever an alert has been pressed. So you could see on the 27th of September that the security button was pressed by Andrew. Let me just show you a quick one. I'm going to fire off the support button. I just fired off support. I'm going to refresh the screen, and there you go. You see it was set off by Johnny Lee. I clicked the support button at 11:53 a.m. Eastern. And that's essentially a quick way you could get a log of all of your events. Very soon we'll be able to download these, but typically what I do is I just click the descriptions and just do the copy and paste this way, and then I just copy that and paste it into a spreadsheet, and I'm able to print out a log or process that data as I see fit. So thank you so much. I sure hope this was helpful, and then you got a quick understanding of how the program works. If there's anything I can do to help you, please let me know. We're welcome to join you for a phone call or a desktop meeting. So thank you, and stay safe out there. Bye-bye.